You should know that I am an avid mystery, drama, documentary, horror flick television watcher. My wife will be the first and the most audible to say amen. Mhm. If you are like me, you know that the commercials can be entertaining as the programs that are watched, especially when the song get caught in your head and you can't get it out. There is one commercial with no song, but it gets stuck in my head. You remember Mrs. Fletcher laying on the floor yelling for.
Nobody can hear you, and you are helpless. But with Life Alert, when emergencies happen, one press of a button can get you help fast.
Life alert, what is your emergency?
Help! I've fallen and I can't get up.
Help is on the way.
Life Alert saves a life from a potential catastrophe every 10 minutes.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-661-2332. That's 1-800-661-2332. Call now, 1-800-661-2332. For a free brochure, call 1-800-66...
Don't call him now. Have you ever noticed, though, the voice on the other side of the call is never a beauty-free, overweight, aged man, but a strapping, good-looking young man, as if the caller could see who they're talking to. That's really not for the person that's the victim. It is the psychology of communication to those of you that are watching the commercial. In other words, this is what your help looks like. You can see a lot of folk. Never mind. My friends, sometimes life is like a Mrs. Fletcher experience. You have fallen and you need help, and it feels like you will not get up. I want to talk to you today from the subject, you've fallen and you can get up. Would you encourage everyone you can, including yourself, and tell them, get ready to get up? You're almost convincing. Go the other way and use your round-the-way voice and tell them, get ready to get up. Encourage yourself, put your hand on you and tell you, get ready to get up. My first day at my new job, Monday, the 27th of October, 1987. I have exited the train station. It's at Bloomingdale's, and I was making my way to 62nd Street. I was in my navy blue double-breasted blazer, my tan slacks, my navy blue shoes, and a double-breasted London fog overcoat. I was ready for corporate America. Just one block from my new office, crossing the street and arriving at the corner, I stepped up, but somehow my foot didn't go high enough. I landed on my right knee, braced myself with my hands, preventing my face from hitting the sidewalk. Folk in their own hurry stopped to see if I needed aid and to help me. When I got to my feet, most of me was all right, with the exception that my right knee had opened up. My tan slacks were ripped open at the site of where my knee was bleeding. I'd fallen. I needed help getting up, but the fall had injured me. When looking to see how this could have happened, I noticed that the corner and the curb was lower than the surface of the sidewalk. In other words, the corner was uneven, and I just didn't see it, and I fell. I went to my new job looking pretty corporate-like until I took my coat off, and it was evident that something had happened to me. Life is at times a lot like Miss Fletcher's falling, yelling for help and not being heard, or just on your routine of the day, walking and something you just don't see trips you and you fall and you're injured. If you haven't been there, keep living. There's a fall plugged into your journey. And if you've been there and done that, you know that you have to get up, you need to get up, and with some help, you can get up. If you're a child of a certain time and generation, and if you fell, often the people around you would act as if nothing had happened to you. You'd be told, you all right, get up, brush yourself off, don't cry. You could be bruised and bleeding and would be told, it's not that bad. It don't hurt that bad. Yeah. Lord, if we could dig some of them people up and bring them back to life. You're a big boy, you're a big girl, and neither a big boy or girl cries when they fall, when they're bruised, bleeding, or hurt. What a lesson that was being taught, not to admit to being hurt, not to falling and the consequences that follow. Children, those children who have now become adults, are walking around with injuries, both physical and emotional, which need attention, which need healing and repair. And you can't get it, you can't fix what you don't own. So we of a certain generation in time have learned how not to own our injuries, how not to own our hurts and our trauma. And here we are generations later trying to figure out what's the matter with me. No one likes to fall, neither in public or in private. No one likes to fall. No one likes to fall. And so often falling can be associated with failing. If you fall in the minds of many and even in the world, you have failed. President Bill Clinton fell in the eyes of a nation and the world. His secrets were disclosed and his alternative facts were exposed. Yet, he was the bounce-back kid. Today, he remains a beloved president of our nation and the world. Oprah Winfrey lost her reporting job at Baltimore's WJZ-TV for being unfit for television news, which was a result of her appearing too emotional about the stories. Her producer offered her a lesser gig on daytime TV, which was seen as a huge step down at the time. Oprah channeled her tendency to get all worked up into people are talking, and her enthusiasm translated into a huge hit. All Oprah ever wanted was to bag a $40,000 a year salary. But the Oprah Winfrey Show and her own Harpo Productions earned her so much more. George Foreman, one of the greatest boxers in history, was an Olympic gold medalist and twice won the title of world heavyweight champion, including as a 45-year-old coming out of retirement in 1994, making him a perpetual hero to every guy between the ages of 35 and 44. In the years that followed, Foreman didn't quite go bankrupt, but had a close call, according to the New York Times, after squandering $5 million. He recovered in part, listen to that, he recovered in part by lending his name to the George Foreman Grill, which earned him an estimated $200 million. Let me try not to make too many stops, but some of us have stuff in our house that we don't even use because of the Oprah effect. And there's a lot of George Foreman grills, the old one, the one in the middle, and the new one, sitting on shelves and in closets because he was persuasive in getting you to buy one. I'm going to buy this now because that way it'll get all the grease off and I'm going to lose some weight. Well, if you don't use it, these are just a few of the people we know about we have watched and perhaps even used the products which bear their names or endorsements. And when we look into their lives, what's beneath the cloak of success, it would seem in order to rise, there is a fall somewhere in the plan. When the fall happens in private, You decide how you want to share it and how you want to wear it or explain it. But when the breakdown happens in public before everyone, especially the ones you don't want to see or want to know that it happened, it plays out quite differently. Unlike what our parents and elders taught us when we were growing up, make like it didn't happen, you just can't ignore it. There will always be someone to remind you in detail just how you felt, just how hard you felt, just how deep and full you felt. And with your attempts to get up, they don't help you, but warn you, don't get up too fast because you fell real hard, really hard. There is in that pseudo voice of wisdom warning you, folk who fall that hard don't get up easy and fast. In other words, it would sound as though they're telling you, you fell, stay there. Have you ever lived that? Have you ever heard that? Did someone tell you when you were trying to get on your feet to lay back down? Lay back down. Yes, there are financial falls when you lose it all. There are emotional falls when you just fall apart and can't seem to pull it together. There's relational falls when you keep choosing the same kind of mistake as the one before and before and before. There is good news here today. There is great news here today. There is encouraging news here today. You have fallen. We own it. We admit it. We confess it. That's not where the story ends. You can get up again. Would you encourage someone in your row and tell them you are getting up today? You're getting up today. You don't sound so convincing. You don't sound so convincing. And you don't need to know what their fall is or how deep they fell or what they fell from. A fall is a fall is a fall is a fall. The important thing is that once you're down, you need to know you can get up. I want you to use your at-home voice and shake your whole pew and tell them, you're getting up today, today. And somebody might be saying in their own mind, I don't feel like it. Nobody asked you how you felt. This is not an option. You getting up today, today, today. Well, the life alert has gone out for you today. The call has gone up straight to the throne of grace. The button has already been pushed before you got your hand on it. God knew exactly what you needed before you needed it, just waiting for your call for help. He is ready, he is willing, and he is able to raise you up. The godly, or as in the King James Version reads, a righteous man may fall 7 times. 7 in Scripture means completely, totally, and thoroughly. As the folk would say, you have fallen flat on your face, knocked down and almost out. Just when you think you will never rise again, the Lord himself becomes your present help in trouble, and he gets you up again. I would ask you if you actually could count them or enumerate them, but how many times have you fallen and didn't think that you would ever recover? Yes, here you sit today, and looking at you, no one really knows just how deep you fell, just how deep your fall was, or if you have fully recovered from your fall. You see, when God is picking you up, he does it in such a way that you don't look like what you've been through. You ought to get happy right there. You ought to get happy right there. Don't know if you've ever told your story about what has happened to you when folk ask how you're doing. Sometimes people ask how you're doing. They don't really want to know how you're doing. And sometimes when you tell them how you're doing, they don't know what to do with what you're telling them how you're doing. And sometimes when they ask you how you're doing, the best answer you can give them is, I'm well. I'm well. All is well. Because when you tell them how you're doing, they look at you trying to find some symptoms and some residual effects of what you've been through, and they can't find them. They say, but you look all right. You look. But that's what happens when God picks you up. He makes you look all right. Secondly, runs out of help. When you think that you have been shut out and shut up and shut down, he comes through again and again and again. God is not like folk. You can go ahead and say amen. Listen, I don't know if I want to say amen. I want to hear what else is coming. Oh, it's coming. Because all of us at one point in time got tired of some folk falling and always calling us. Now, you may have them sitting in the pew with you, so all you can do is, But you know those speeches that we give them when we are done, when we're through. We don't want to keep running to your rescue. This is the last time. This is the last $5 you get in the day. You keep promising you're going to pay me back. So here's the deal, so I don't have to be mad and backslide. You take this $5 that you're trying to borrow now, take it out the $5 you owe me. And we're going to be all right. See, there's a lesson for you to learn that if you can't give it away, then it means you can't lend it away. And so to keep you out the mad and to keep you out the angry and about to cuss and cut, y'all trying to make like y'all didn't hear that. Did he say? Yeah, I said it. Don't give away what you need to keep for yourself. And when somebody asks you for what's yours and you say, I can't help you, I don't have it, you didn't lie. I don't have my money to lend to you. And then you'll always have that wise one that will say, can't you get it from somewhere? Well, if I needed it, maybe there is somewhere that I can get it, but I don't need it, you need it. Because now our discussion goes into a different direction. Why is it that you are working on a job, getting a check every other week, every week, getting something from somewhere, that you always got to borrow? You keep falling into the same hole. Listen, you got to be a mad driver to keep going down Fulton Street, running into the same pothole on Fulton Street between Troy and Schenectady. And then you even say it out loud. Every time I come down this block, I keep running into this hole. You done had to pay for a new tire. You done had to pay for a new rim. You done spent a whole lot of money going down the same street, running in the same hole. Even the hole is telling you, I'm still here. I'm still here. You need to try to drive around me, drive over me, or go down another block. What y'all think about that? And some of our falls in life is because we keep going down the same street, meeting the same folk who are doing the same thing, and when you ask them how you doing, they say, I'm still here. I'm holding it down. God never runs out of help for us. And when you think you've been shut down, shut out, and shut up, he keeps coming through again and again and again. Sometimes the fall is so severe that the recovery doesn't look like it is possible. If you haven't been there, keep living. There will be those moments when you look like you will not get out of this one. But here's what the Apostle Paul writes. We are troubled on every side, yet not distressed. We are perplexed, but not in despair. We are persecuted, but not forsaken. Cast down, but not destroyed. We will not escape trouble. We will not escape perplexity or persecution or being cast down. Where we should be stuck and in distress, in despair, forsaken and destroyed, God keeps picking us up again and again and again. You thought your last fall was fatal, but it was not final, because God has something bigger, God has something better, and God has something greater in store for you. I want to ask you to help me to preach as I get ready to close here, but would you disturb the people in your row and tell them, I'm getting up today, I'm getting up today. Thirdly, the thing about falling and getting up is when you are on your feet, you got to keep moving. I fell on my first day going to my new job. I was dressed up for the position and messed up from the fall. There was no time for me to go back to Brooklyn and make this look like it didn't happen. I was a bloody mess at my knee. My pants was torn and a little bit of a limp. No one really knew that I had fallen, that I was hurt, until I showed them. I went to orientation. I went to all of the places where I was scheduled to show up. I signed in, I signed out, and in some places I signed up. I wanted my new job so I could stay down low, lay down where I fell. I wanted my new job so I couldn't stay down, I couldn't lay down where I fell. It took me a few minutes to collect myself, and I appreciated the help of the strangers, but I had to keep moving. Somebody wanted to know, do you want us to call an ambulance? Absolutely not. Should we call the police? Absolutely not. And back in 1987, they didn't have all the stuff to whip out and take pictures and videos and post it and send it to me so I could sue the city. And at that moment, suing and riding in the back of an ambulance and waiting for the police to come was not my focus. I needed to show up at my new job. Now, this is about as deep as the preaching is going to get today, so you need to embrace this. There are places that you need to show up. There are places that you need to be fully present. There are places where you need to present yourself. Whether you are hurt up or toe up or whatever it is, you don't have time to think about who's going to pay for this. Who am I going to get even with? Who's going to take responsibilities for this? The focus is I need to show up where my blessing is. I thank them, folk. I thank y'all so much for helping me up. And if you'd have let me, I probably would have taken time to bounce up by myself. But thank you. Thank you. Thank you for helping me. And I can't wait for the agencies to show up and ask me my name, my mother's name, and is there anybody they could call? I got some place that I need to show up. When the orientation was ended, and I had reported to my office, I told my new supervisor what happened, and she looked at me, and then she looked at my knee. She looked at me, and then she looked at my knee. She looked at my knee, and then she looked at me. She asked, how did this happen? She asked, did you walk around like this all day? She picked up the phone and called the infirmary and said a few things to the person on the other side. She sent me to the medical people. She never really allowed me to answer her questions, but she hung up the phone and to the person she was speaking with in the infirmary, and she said, go to this floor, tell them I sent you, give them your name. I got to the second floor, I got off the elevator, and the nurse and the PA was standing there waiting for me. And before I could tell them who I was, they said, you must be James. I said, I am he. Come this way. Pulled back the torn pants, and I was more hurt about my pants than I was about my life. I thought I'd tell you that truth too. It'd have been all right if my knee had been broken open under the pants and my pants was hurt, but my pants was busted. going to get another pair. You're trying to make like you don't. So she looked at it and then she rolled it up. And she said, you walked around here all day. I said, well, I live in Brooklyn. It was too far for me to go back, clean up, and come back. And then she said, you really want this job. And down in my soul, I'm saying, that's why I'm here. This one is paying more than the one I left. Yeah. I said, yeah. It looks like a promising opportunity. And I said, it better be for somebody to walk around with a busted knee and torn up slacks. And just so you know, my new job was at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. It is a place that orients its new employees first to understand image. They may not fire you at first for posting money to the wrong place. But if you ever misrepresent the image of the institution, they'll make you stay in that office until 3 minutes to 5. They'll call you into the boss's office and tell you today is your last day. And you can open your mouth wide and raise your eyebrows high if you want to, but security is coming down the corridor. And you'll be told the reason why you're being terminated is because you have misrepresented this institution. This institution is older than you. It has a reputation around the world for serving presidents, royalty, prime ministers, secretaries of state. And at no time, in no way, can this institution be misrepresented, because you never know who it is that you are speaking to. And at all times and always, this institution must be represented by its reputation around the world. I wonder when this principle will be quickened in the lives of our testimonies. That when we get ready to be our authentic selves, you slow saying amen there, aren't you? You about to get fired. When we feel like representing, acting our authentic selves, that we need to remember that we represent an institution that is older than there were 2,000 years, 2017 years, and it began before we were born, that we have a responsibility to represent the kingdom of God wherever we are, whoever we are. The lady told me, my supervisor told me, they'll fix you up so you can make it home. Whatever they recommend, you do it, please, do it. Your job will be here. You see, the secret was I needed to show up first so that I could get the security. And although she asked all these questions, my answers would not have empowered her to fix my knee. When I exposed my injuries in the right place to the right person, I was sent to the right place and to the right person who could actually help me. I knew that if they could just fix me up so I could get home, my nurse practitioner wife would make me every whit whole. Here's the point. Sometimes you fall, you get hurt, and sometimes worse than you really know. You have to work on getting up and moving on. You have to get up and move on hurt, and along the way you will get picked up, fixed up, patched up until you can get healed up. Stop arguing with folk who have no interest in you standing on your own 2 feet. Would you say to somebody in your row, keep moving? You can't tell everybody what happened to you. that you fell and how hurt you are. You just have to keep moving. Tell somebody in your road, just keep moving. You will help people who will later hurt you and leave you. Don't keep looking at them walking away from you. You need to just keep. Would you encourage somebody in your pew as well as yourself and tell them, get up and keep moving? Lastly, God will not have you to stay down too long. Sometimes you will fall and you have to roll over and get up. You'll have to leave those around you wondering what happened. They'll hear the thump. They'll hear the noise. And sometimes if you grunt, they'll hear that. But when they turn around to see what happened, you'll be back on your feet. Failure is not final. And falling is not fatal. The godly fall 7 times and rise up again and again. The wicked will fall once and they never recover. One of my favorite verses in the Bible is the Lord is good. He's a stronghold in the day of trouble. And he knows them that trust in him. That's Nahum 1:7. When you think that it's all over, the Lord is good. As bad as it is, the Lord is good. When your day of trouble looks like it will never end, the Lord is a stronghold. In reflection, you will tell yourself, I didn't know how bad it was until I got out. The things which should have caused you to crack up and to break up and to fall apart only helped you to know God better. You have help everywhere you turn. You never have to look for God. He's always there. In your darkest moment, God is working because God even works in the dark. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. You have help. My brothers and sisters, I close here today. It is my prayer that you leave here differently than you did when you came in. No matter what you are returning to, no matter what you have left, no matter what may follow you, you always have help. You can ask the Savior to help you, comfort, strengthen, and keep you. Jesus is willing to help you. Jesus will carry you through. We close now, but my other favorite psalm, hear my cry, oh God. Attend unto my prayer. From the ends of the earth will I cry unto thee. My favorite piece of that verse. When my heart is overwhelmed, Lord have mercy. When my heart, I'm about to start a whole new preach, but I'm going to quit. Has anybody here ever pulled the covers over your head? Turn the lights off and pull the blinds down. And just wish that you could stay in the dark until the storm would just pass over. Just tell people when it's all over, when it's all cleared up, come back and wake me up. Have you ever prayed at night, Lord, now I lay me down to sleep, and that's where you stopped? Have you ever wished that you could walk off somewhere? Just go somewhere where nobody knows your name, just walk off somewhere and just never come back. When my heart is overwhelmed, when you have cried and you've got no more tears to cry, your mouth is just moving. And when people ask you how you're doing, and you know if you told them, they just wouldn't get it. When my heart is overwhelmed, here's what David said, lead me to the rock that is higher, for thou hast been a shelter for me, a strong tower from the enemy. When my heart is overwhelmed, lead me to the rock that is higher than I. The choir's going to sing, and then we're going to pray. Hear my cry, O God. Attend unto my prayer. From the end of the earth will I cry unto thee. Here's what you need to walk out of this church house knowing today. You've fallen. You can get up.